Hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny. And for the week of August 10th through the 16th, the sun is in gate 4 and the earth in gate 49.
Formulas and principles. So why do they go together? We shall see.
Thank you to everyone who is watching and liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. And let's get into it.
Thank you, everyone.
Here we have our mandala wheel view where we can see the sun is in gate 4, which is formulization, and it is a Ajna Center gate. And then the earth in gate 49, which is revolution, and it's a solar plexus gate.
Two awareness centers. One says, I got the logical goods, but it's a little bit childlike. And the other one that's a little bit opposite of childlike says, principles are serious business, mister. So it's just fun watching these two things go together. When you start describing the gates, it'll make more sense.
Yeah, like what a balance between like the polarities that we see every week.
Yeah, they each have a balance. Every polarity has its balance that makes it make sense.
Here we have the sun in gate 4, which is youthful folly and the gate of formulization. The energy to beguile and succeed despite ignorance. Freedom from retribution. Gate 4 is an Ajna Center gate, part of collective circuitry, so sharing is our keynote. It's part of the understanding circuit specifically. Gate 4 links up with gate 63, which is doubt, and the 63-4 make up the channel of logic. Gate 4 applies mental awareness to questions fueled by doubt about the future, formulating logic's answers. Each answer or formula is only a potential and must eventually be tested and substantiated by facts. Ultimately, the answers you formulate are designed to be applied to questions that can come from people around you.
It's so cool because both 4 and 47 on the other side have everything to do with what is basically formalizing and making sense of the emotional process. This is the mental clarity of the emotional process really coming to pass in these two oppositions, because 47 is opposed, it has opposition of 22. And so the mental meets the emotional here, very much so. And the formulas that gate 49 ultimately needs to see made sense logically. So even though 49 is in an emotional process, it still needs the logical goods, or this cross can't live itself out and this opposition falls apart. So 47, this youthful folly, it's immune from prosecution. Largely, almost exclusively, is it immune from anyone saying, yeah, but, and trying to hold gate 4 to some kind of standard, because it is the very essence of youthful folly. One formula can lead to another, and as a foundation, it's got the greatest foundation line. It's called pleasure. It's this logical and understanding process that the ultimate pleasure cannot be achieved without waiting for the perfect timing. Each formula comes out at its perfect timing and is given in a certain way. And this perfect timing for gate 4, besides 63, when the pressure of doubt is there, the other perfect timing for it is this opposition. So sometimes the principles are such that just keep your mouth shut. Let's face it, that's one of the outcomes of our principles, is to say nothing. And another outcome of it is work hard and get the formula just right, because our principles are, we want all the lights to work on time so that there aren't car accidents. We want logical processes in place. We'd like to know that the buses are still running, that the things are still working, and that we put it all together. Don't forget, we just came off the quarter of civilization. We're fresh off it still. And this is very much doing something with what was put in place in the first place. We had a direction, and now the direction leads to a formula. And that formula ultimately, as we get to gate 49, you'll see is sanctified by it. Questions fueled by doubt. The further and the future formulating of logics. This is an awareness. What's the fear of gate 4? Do you remember? Chaos. Just sheer mental and logical chaos.
That makes sense. I have a
Yeah,
friend with this as her incarnation cross. This is like her conscious or her personality sun. And she is the type that anytime something pops up is like 63 is like, why? Right? It's asking
right.
why. And then so she's always just like spouting out possibilities. Maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. And there can be some really brilliant ones there, but there's can be some that are really kind of lost or a little chaotic or a
And you
little
never hold her account for it.
no. And you know, my brain is very like logic and strategic. So sometimes it's like I would try to, you know, put it into a place when it's just like, oh no, she just offers these possibilities. But it could be so many possibilities that I can also see when she kind of like spins out and gets a little lost in it as well.
The chaos of too muchness,
There,
you
that's
know.
perfect.
Yep. That's what it ends up being. And too muchness that now is not in harmony with itself, so things aren't working. You know, it's one thing if you sort of run out of gas and you see that, and then something else, and then something else, and now you got a flat tire, and now you'd lost your number to AAA, and now your jumper cables don't work. One of them does, and one of them doesn't. Chaos. And now the things aren't working that logically did work before when you simply turned it on and used your key and you could drive. So
Next up, we have the Earth in Gate 49, which is revolution or the Gate of Principles. Ideally, the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. Gate 49 is an emotional solar plexus gate, part of tribal circuitry, so support is our keynote, and it's part of the ego circuit specifically. Gate 49 hooks up with Gate 19, which is approach, and the 1949 make up the channel of synthesis. Gate 49 is about principles of acceptance and rejection, marriage and divorce, and ultimately revolution. This is the direct result of living with tribal hierarchies that are influenced by the emotional wave. This is sensitivity or insensitivity towards other people and their specific needs based on a resonance with your own principles.
this acceptance and rejection is meant to be not just an emotional process. In fact, if you think about it in the ratchet wave where it takes a step forward and a step back, that very much is being aided and abetted by the process of logic's understanding. Well, maybe I didn't understand that right. Oh, I see I'm understanding that right. And then the ratchet moves, step forward, step back, couple steps forward, couple steps back. That's how this tribal emotional process works. And there's a function of logicalness to it. Try to tell that to the emotional wave having ratcheted out of control for a moment and into, you know, a dark place for an emotional hot minute there, and they might have something choice to say to you in that moment, but it's still a logical process. On the way out, part of that emotional wave's clarity has to do with this logical process of creating a formula. Formulas don't work unless they're logical, by the way. They have to be logical. They can't be abstract anymore. And 49's principles, this revolution that transforms the transformation of forms based on the highest principles, not simply for power. That too becomes a logical process, even though it's also emotional. And this ultimate revolution that has to fit a purpose. That purpose is colored by its logicalness and this opposition. You just can't fit it. We've seen principles fit illogical purposes before, and it sucks. I mean, it's just sheer madness is what it decays into. We've seen certain things in our society in the past half decade. You know, it just didn't make sense, and that's what this gate is here, giving us emotional clarity about. Ultimately, it accepts the resources of Gate 19, and from that acceptance and the lack of rejection, the synthesis takes place. And the synthesis is we have something worth forming here. There's value in this community and what we're starting here. And it leads to the survival of the species, by the way. These principles are no small thing. The wrong principles, and the tribe dies. It dies out quickly, and in plenty of cases, bloody. You know, we've seen it over and over again. It's time to stop that particular process in our journey. But these principles are carrying a lot of weight. It's heavy business. There's a reason this is called the gate of the butcher. This gate places, you know, people with this gate And whether you have this gate or not, you can still be a butcher, but I'm saying the butcher has to place their hands on the living animal and take its life. And nobody thinks that when we're sitting down to eat a burger, or shall I say, we all conveniently put it aside. I mean, almost every single time. No one laments. When I say no one, most of the time you're not lamenting the steak you're enjoying. But a butcher had to do something with that. Nowadays, some of this stuff is automated, obviously takes it out of the hands, and that does not do humanity any good. We're supposed to lay our hand. It's a very spiritual process to
Yeah.
be in tune with that animal at that time.
Yeah, the respect of a hunter.
Yes, the real hunter, that
Mm-hmm.
would be gate 49. That would, the hunter in gate 49 would respect the whole process and have gone through his own little danger and logical process to get that hunt right. By the way, the act of hunting is a logical process. Wickedly, you're sitting there planning out every last little thing and paying attention to everything that happened before, like we just had in 13 and 7, and listening to everything anyone could say about it so you can come to know it better and then deploy it for. And by the way, no one hunts not for the sake of the tribe. You hunt for your family, period. I mean, if you're a loner, I guess you're doing it for yourself, but everyone hunts for others, is the thing.
Well, and you couldn't even, like, it's such a large, when you're like taking down a deer or something, like you need to kind of spread that out. And that's also part
Yeah,
of tribal cohesion, is that in
totally.
like tribal cultures, when you'd go out hunting, then if you like got the best, you took it down and that's like your animal, you actually give the best pieces to other people. And it's this means of respect. So when you don't have the kill, that someone else is going to also take care of you. It's like tribal cohesion. You're going to give your friend the better piece. You want them to appreciate it and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. If your principles are there, you could reject that and hold the best pieces for yourself too. It depends the principles of gate 49 at the time. If there is abundance, the principles will lean more towards what you said. In times of scarcity, it tends to be the opposite. And both principles are okay. Again, principles must meet also a logical process. They can't just fly out with emotion. So that's gate 49 in a nutshell.
First up, we have the right angle cross of explanation, which adds the 23 and the 43 to the 4 and the 49 we've been discussing. These are people whose job it is to explain revolutionary and principled solutions. Untested individual knowing necessitates clarifying and repeating insights which have been filtered through logic's formulas. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of formulization, which adds the 8 and the 14. These are individuals who inspire you with their creative ability to create formulas and see unique patterns so they can empower a new direction. And we'll move into the left angle cross of revolution, which also adds the 8 and the 14. These are people who are projected upon to provide the practical reasons and contribute resources necessary to instigate a revolution or not.
Yeah, these provide the practical reasons. Part of that practical is the formula. And then the providing them in the first place is the principle. And then 2343 guarantees an explanation of all of that, because 2343, a little bit like the retreat of gate 33, 2343, it doesn't retreat per se, it just doesn't listen to anyone else at first because it knows, this channel. So there's a channel in this cross as we, get into that right angle. And it's a pretty big deal. People whose job it is to explain these revolutionary principles. You can see why we need to logically explain them. We can't just explain them with stories and abstract ideas that might not have a logical thread of understanding to them. And you can see the forces were very, very clear. They want this to be explained. They want this to be explained. 2343 isn't sitting there anywhere else, except right on the heels in this particular cross, this explanation that guarantees 49 and 4. If it's a right angle cross with 23 and 43, it's got 49 and 4. And so I'm just find it amazing that, again, the program says we darn well are going to have this be explained. And then by adding 8 and 14, we now move into the cross of contagion, which is next. A lot is going on around this particular incarnation cross because it says we have a direction before. That direction is going to be explained according to principles. This is going to basically sift out what is that direction mean to us in our individual tribal community family settings. It's going to bring resources. It's going to bring a whole logical process with it, guaranteed. We want that explained. I'm speaking for the universe right now. I want it to be explained. So get the memo. People are going to explain that. By the way, they can't help but to explain it because the knower can't help but to say that he knows, right? You know, 2343s, once they start talking, you know, they can't, they've got their verbal power to them, shall I say. And then as soon as it leaves that and it's been explained, the forces are very interested with that being contributed into the world in a contagious type of way. Because the cross of contagion brings the capacity to say yes, right? Brings that 29 along with it. It brings 14 and 8, as we can see, and 14 pushes the power upward of the sacral, and 8 says, I'm making this as a contribution to the greater good. So this whole little corner of the wheel is very interconnected, and it says the logic of the principles has to be ascertained, and it has to be explained. Its marching orders are towards beauty, period, and it's picking up speed as it obtains the great abundant gate of 14 that will make its contribution and create a type of a contagion because 29 and 30 come on board. So the clinging fire has a feeling, and the feeling is empowered by the sacral to say yes to that, as long as the timing and everything is right. Because we just got off of something that required the right timing, and the principles had to have been explained. And so when people ask, what's the contagion? You just said, well, what, that thing that got explained last week, that's the contagion. You know, that's at least part of it. And so the people on the cross of contagion, which is the next one coming up, are very much imbued and endowed with the explanations that had already came before. In fact, we watch Contagion people, I bet we're willing to see they don't contage until there was some kind of an explanation going on. Something was explained to them, like along the way, because this is genetically right before it.
I
What
just really,
the
I
word
just,
I made up
yeah, that you just totally turned like that adjective into a verb.
into a verb. Yeah, they don't contage. Contage me, baby. Yeah. So again, I love the movement here. We're in duality, and duality is still setting up for duality, by the way. This quarter of bonding where we bond with one another. We're still setting up for that. So how is this part of the bonding process? It's the precursor to it. The forces were incredibly intelligent as it relates to our movement around the wheel. They were incredibly intelligent. We're an intelligent design of some sort, you know, and that includes through the evolution of us. One doesn't negate the other at all. They support each other, and so this is an incredible movement. The genetics are there, in other words. Can you imagine, Moni? So our lives and our bodies and the genome and our interactions and our ways are moved by this movement and these transits that sun earth us along the way.
So finally, we have our hexagrams for the week. First up, we have the sun in gate 4, which is formalization, or in my I Ching book, it's not knowing. And the trigrams are mountain over water. The image reads, below the mountain, spring water comes forth, not knowing. A noble one nourishes character with the fruits of action. The pure spring rises under the shelter of the mountain. It doesn't know where it's going, yet its flow becomes steadily deeper and stronger. In the same way, a noble one nurtures personal character and strength with the fruits of going forward and taking action. Learning comes from experience, not in the form of ready-made answers.
So formalizing equals not knowing, the place that it started. I find that stunning because youthful folly is not knowing. It's folly at first, but it creates formulas. because
Oh.
its energy is there to do so. And so this whole formalizing things with the mountain over the water, I mean, this is a very yin thing. This ends up having the foundation to me, even though it's in the sun, not the earth, of becoming the logical process that serves gate 49. I love watching which gates really do service of the other gates. Gate 13 is in service of humanity, but gate 13 serves gate 7 as it relates to gate 7 capacity to do something with that formula. Because we all want to do something. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for getting it into the book. We love that. Time to do something. Yeah, we got problems or whatever. Blah, blah, do something, right? Type thing. It's always about doing something about it.
Mm-hmm. It's neat,
Very good.
interesting too, just as we've just started into the quarter of duality, which is about relationships and bonding, and the idea of like youthful folly of like when you're like ooh, crush on somebody new, or like the new
Right.
kind of you don't know what's gonna happen, but you're curious and what could happen. It could be a possibility, like the start of a relationship. It's like, oh, I wonder where this can lead. What adventures can we go on? What fun can we have?
All of that stuff is being formalized at this point, and that's cute because gate 4 and gate 19 would totally team up to get with gate 49. Gate 63, gate 4, and gate 19 would totally team up on exactly how to flirt with gate 49, because gate 49 is big mama. It's like what girls always say to guys or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, I'm still the girl here. And the guy's like, yes, ma'am.
That's the principle.
That's the principle. The principles very much are wrapped up in the notion of mother anyway. Their father as well, but I just, as it relates to the tribe and the feeding and all of that and the timing of all of that,
That's mom's domain.
that's mom all day long. So that leads into 49.
Next up, we have the Earth in gate 49, which is revolution, or in my I Ching book, it reads as radical change. The trigrams are lake over fire, and the image reads, in the center of the lake there is fire, radical change. A noble one calculates the heavenly signs and clarifies the seasons. The new king must realign the calendar with the stars, bringing his people's daily activities back into harmony with the time. The light of awareness is at the center of things, clear and unambiguous as starlight, and the calendar gives its expression. Inner lucidity illuminates and transforms a way of life, not bringing change for its own sake, but restoring a natural harmony.
Revolution was called what?
Radical change.
Radical change. So the word radical means at the root, at the base of it, getting to the very core of. It
That's cool.
doesn't mean crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, zippity doo-dah crazy. It's getting to the root of the thing. In mathematics, when they talk about the radical of something, it is at the beginning of it. And that's why it's radical mathematics very often. Einstein comes along, it's like, well, the beginning's actually here. Oh, that changes everything because before the beginning was someplace else. So I'm not sure how to put lake over fire on all this other than the fire seems to illuminate the abundance of the lake and the abundance of gate 49's acceptance of gate 19 is something that takes a very particular path that must have been joined in just the right way, or there will be a radical change. I don't accept. Radical change to me is synonymous with acceptance and rejection. And by the way, this isn't the acceptance or rejection or the acceptance or not of like a gate 60, which must accept its limitations. It's acceptance or rejection of you,
In the
the other,
tribe.
in
Yeah.
the tribe, in the flesh, directly, one to another. So,
Yeah, your
um,
breakdown of the trigrams is exactly that of like the fire illuminates and it gives clarity, it burns away, it shines the light upon, and lake is about abundance and joyousness. So that burning away for the sake of abundance. And I love this ending line of not bringing change for its own sake, but restoring a natural harmony. That there is a natural harmony and order to the principles of like, this is not how it is, this is how it's going to be, like a restoring of what is right and not just chaos for the sake of chaos, not change for its own sake, which, rabble rousers will, burn stuff for the sake of chaos and taking power. Like, that's not what this is about. It's not that kind of distortion of revolution, but in truth, it's bringing clarity to bring us back to that place of abundance and principles and that ongoing, survival of the tribe and the story of the
Absolutely.
tribe.
Yep. Because when you get to 37 and the 40, the tribe is surviving. You can't have 37, 40 and not have the tribe basically having a really good chance at it all, at least, and likely really totally doing well, because that it's always doing the work. It's always doing the work and setting the table and feeding and feeding and feeding the tummy. So, and keeping bargains and stuff and like getting it done. This is the no nonsense
With the
channel,
3740.
3740, yeah. And it's based on the principles it was fed through here and the resources gathered along that trajectory. So me likey.
So, tying it all together for the week, what can we tell our audience? How are they going to see this in play with the sun in gate 4 and the earth in gate 49?
Think away. You're immune. You can think anything you want. Just make sure that the thinking that you do, that you allow this week while all of this time's going by, whether you have a 4 or not, whether it's connected or not, even if it's in an open center, just allow yourself to ponder and think about what principles have served you and which ones haven't, because it's a great big deal. Gate 4 serves the principles of 49. 49 could be said to serve the capacity to come up with a formula. I guess these would be yin and yang in that way. So allow formula making and allow it to be guided by the tribal need for sensitivity and support and loyalty and getting some work done and the things that ultimately drive the love into a marriage bargain. I mean, that's what 49 says, accepts and rejects more than anything. I will, I do, I don't, oops. But honey, we're at the altar. Yeah, right. But the principles are profound. And when the formula is set, sorry, it's not up to me. The infamous, it's not up to me when you call customer service and can't get the resolution. You realize it's not that person's fault. It's sort of the same thing here. So just allow a lot of deep, we just came off of a bunch of reflection, right? We just came off of, we're moving into what's going to be contagious. Be aware of that. And factor contagiousness into what is it that the formulas will come into as it relates to the principles that are important to you. Remember, it's about your principles, period. If you can't stand by your principles, you've got none. You realize that they're just not, they're weak and mushy and no good, and nobody feels good about that. So what are this formula for your principles? Why don't you tell me that? Tell yourself that while you're at it.
That's a good line. Yeah, that earth in 49 being grounded in our principles. And like you said, what principles have you been leading your life by, and are they serving you? Some are probably good, some are probably not so great. So taking stock to be grounded in our principles, so you're grounded and anchored and like rooted in the right principles for your own personal beliefs and your family, your tribe, and moving forward. And then so the sun can shine those possibilities and formulas to develop, to move forward in this like quarter of duality, which is about bonding and relationships and starting to intermix with people.
Now's the time to face the truth and formalize literally. Have you allowed yourself to be subpar with your own principles and how you get things done? Now's the time to look at that very clearly. We got two awareness centers going on here. They're two straight up awareness centers. They come with logical fears that make you understand things. It's not fear to sit there and be afraid of, it's fear to alert you. Like you hear a strange sound. And 4's fear is chaos. Chaos in the principles making business no good. And gate 49's fear is, what is gate 49's fear? It's basically the fear of God in a way, like
Yeah,
you
it's like
like you
God in nature.
yeah, of nature, that you haven't prepared right for nature. and you're going to get swept away, potentially, unless the formulas are right. So have you been getting swept away? Do you find yourself in fear sometimes of the outcome, naturally speaking, because of the choices that you're making, because of the formulas that aren't grounded in something that truly moves you towards more beauty and more love in your life? Um, Please journal that for yourself. Contemplate that, because you'll come up with answers this week that are meaningful and could change the direction of everything in your whole natural life, even if you don't believe it now.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
You good? You feel
I'm
good?
good. That was pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty great. Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you to everyone who is watching and liking and subscribing and hanging out with us. And we'll catch you next week for another transit. Bye.
Yeah. Yay. Thank you. Come back next week. Like and subscribe, by the way. Tell a bunch of people we want to get over 1,000 before the year's over, and watch a bunch more hours. Okay. Because we need that to happen too, right? And remember, we love you, dude. We're here spending our love onto you. We can't help it.
You got two
So
vessels of
help.
love.
Yeah. So help us do that. And so that's actually no joke. We're pouring our love to you in an extreme way, I might add, universally. So we love you, and help us share this.
Catch you next time.
Next time.